Guys, great, much respect to a terrific Maryland team that has had a great season and I know is going to continue to have a great year. It's a great team we played today. And I thought our players really competed, played really well. And players win games. They did a great job today. I thought our older guys led the way. I also want to thank our fans. I thought they were phenomenal. It was an electric environment, probably as loud as, it has equaled as loud as some games in our short time here. I thought they were just an incredible boost for our guys. And I know we've got a few more sellouts here coming up here. We've had several this year. We need that to continue. It was a great lift for our players. So thanks to all of the fans that came out in Buckeye Nation.
So at the other end of the spectrum, how's Kyle?
Kyle is, as what it's been described to me right now, is a high ankle sprain, and he's still in the process of getting, I think, it looked at and worked on. So just, he's had really, really hard, bad luck. I just feel terrible for him.
And the way you were able to close the first half and start the second half, how important was it to end on a run and then open up with a run that kind of gave you enough breathing room there?
Well, that was critical. I thought our last 4 minutes and our first 4 minutes were critical, and we were able to get to the line a little bit. We were able to keep them off the line a little bit. We made some shots. I thought Luther had a stretch there that really helped us late in the first half, and then that opening stretch. We talked about it at halftime, like this is going to say something about us, how we start the second half against one of the best teams in the country.
Your analysis of Caleb tonight.
Great. I thought he was really good. I thought he played well. I thought he competed defensively against a really good player. Efficient, 2 turnovers, 3 assists, efficient from the field. What he makes so difficult is when you play him in different spots and invert the offense. We've talked about that. There's a reason why we were 13th in the league last year out of 14 teams in offensive efficiency, and going into this game we were 4th. His ability, there's other reasons, but his ability to make it difficult for teams to figure out how they're going to defend some of that stuff is critical.
He was described recently as being a bully in this game. Would you agree with that? And is that a good thing, Caleb?
He was described as being a bully?
Yes.
Oh. Mark said that? Teach his own. His opinion can be his opinion. I thought Caleb was, physical and well within the rules, and played hard and played tough and played physical. And listen, that kid's gotten pushed and shoved, and the number of times people have flopped on him throughout this year, he played well within the rules as he should have today. Kudos to him for that, because that can be frustrating when teams are both playing physical. And I'm not saying this in particular to Maryland, in reference to Maryland, but I just think in general, teams play very physical with them, and then they also make it obvious at times for offensive fouls.
Is it maybe a positive when the opposing coach thinks when your player played like a bully?
Well, I don't know how he intended that, but I think he played, like I said, when Caleb plays like this, he impacts the game at a high level on both ends. Plays like one of the best bigs in the country because of his impact on both ends. And what you guys probably don't necessarily see that we see is some of the game plan scouting report stuff that he picks up at a really high level. And he was able to do that as well as play physically.
Does he take a game like Thursday's into today's game? Does your staff encourage him to, he didn't have a good night Thursday. He got in a matchup supposedly 2 of the best big men in the league. It was not a close matchup. Did he use that today, or does this just happen and that's not a part of why this happened?
Well, I think we all take, disappointing any competitor takes disappointing performances, and I don't think, certainly the way we played was not all on Caleb by any stretch. People want to make it into kind of like a one-on-one battle. It was not that. It was our team against their team. They beat us, the other night. They coached better and played better than us the other night. So I think all of us take those moments and figure out how can we do better. That's just, that had to be our response the next day. Had to be. And shame on us if it's not the response. If we didn't come back the next day in practice with like, how do we get better? And if you didn't lose a little sleep that night and figure out how do we be better, then shame on us. So I think he did that. He's a competitor. He responded that way.
Luther had been shooting threes pretty well until Iowa.
Yeah.
So is there a technical adjustment? Is it a confidence thing? When you see that he's 3 of 4 in the first half?
Yeah, they had big threes, great confidence. They tried to, they went under a lot of those ball screens at times, and he was able to raise up and shoot it behind it, which was huge. I just think he's playing with a lot of confidence. I told him out there, we had lunch a couple weeks ago, and I realized he's the only player on our team that doesn't like BW3, or doesn't like wings. When we went out to lunch. Yeah, not everybody loves BW3's great. We start over.
They don't take down their sign.
Yeah, no, I love BW3. All right, I love it. And I had a series of lunch meetings. I'm just saying he doesn't particularly love wings in general, but I love wings. And so we had a series of lunch meetings, and I remember saying to him, hey, there's going to be a game, Lou, where you're going to make a few threes. And at this point, it was, you guys kept bringing stats. What are you going to do with Luther? He's 1 for 30 in his last shot, last 4 games. And I just said that. It was after a frustrating game where I don't think he scored maybe at all. And I just said, hey, you're going to have a game. If you keep working and you stick with the process, you're going to have a game where you're the difference and your shot making is the difference. It's a credit to that kid that he just has stuck with the process.
Chris, when you see Kyle go down and knock it up right away, what's your immediate reaction given what he's been doing?
Is it the leg? That was my immediate reaction. Is it the stress reaction?
And then adjusting in this game and going forward, if he misses time, how do you make up for what he gives you when it's not just pure statistics?
I thought E.J. Liddell was critical in the second half. I thought E.J. Liddell was critical with offensive rebounding against the zone. And then he challenged a couple of their 3 attempts with a couple of their guys. So E.J. will have to be that for us. I thought his minutes were critical, particularly rebounding against their zone.
You had, EJ was the only sub in the second half. Were you worried about the team getting dead-legged toward the end, or was it just out of necessity how to do that?
Yeah, I wasn't really worried. Yeah, I wasn't. I just, I know Andre played all 40 minutes and Caleb played 36, but big game. I know they want to be out there. If they had given me the fist, I probably would have taken them out. But I just felt like rolling with those 6 guys.
A game like this, so much has happened to this team this year, and then you have a game like this on national television. Does this tell the players anything about all the preaching you talk about, focus and toughness, and then you get this?
Yeah, I think it's a step forward. It's a step forward. I think the real question will be how do we respond to this, going on the road where we've not performed well the last couple games. What's going to be our response in practice? Are we going to somehow be complacent with this particular result, or are we going to have a good response in practice? I think that's going to really test the maturity of our group. We'll see. But we've had great wins this year. This is certainly one of them because we have tremendous respect for Maryland, their talent, how well they're coached. Tremendous respect for them.
Defensively, Luther's done a pretty solid job against Anthony in the 2 games you guys played. Anthony's really good at getting to the line. Is there a way that you're coaching that when you have a guy who is skilled in that, you know.
He's so good at it. Yeah, he's so good at it. We emphasized it the last 2 days. He's just so good at getting to the line, throwing his body in there, and getting angles and jumping into you and catching. And he's such a weapon with his shooting, and then he's got such a great burst. I mean, the kid's been such a good player for 4 years. I can't wait to see him out of the league. I just thought Luther did his best to battle. He's a terrific talent.
And then with his shooting, like, he kind of had the same, you know, kind of roller coaster last year where he was making shots and he wasn't making shots.
Yeah.
He started making them again. It's kind of that same kind of trajectory.
Mhm.
And how are you coaching him, you know, when he is in those low moments where he is 1 for 30?
His game can't be defined by that. It never has been defined by that. He's got to be able to compete defensively. Stops competing defensively, stops rebounding, then we'll play somebody else. But he's been committed to that. He's got to keep working. Got to keep a good attitude. Really happy for a kid like that who stayed with it. He didn't have these kind of moments for us late last year. Now, part of it was we weren't playing him as much, but he didn't respond with these kind of moments like he's responded this year as a sophomore.
Just one more follow-up. Are you still like looking for like what Keyshawn was able to do for you guys in the last, a guy who can do that?
I think we're getting a little more of that with Dwayne. A guy that can initiate the offense and make the right play and be a weapon and yet also move the ball. And CJ's been as solid as can be. CJ's been terrific, but we're getting a little bit of that with Dwayne.
I know that you thought DJ's development was already important before Kyle went down now.
Yeah.
I think you were asked maybe a couple weeks ago about the needing in-season development. Good point, like DJ was one of those guys that we're looking for, but EJ is that guy too. How important is it down the stretch to really make this a consistent thing that it's done in the past 2 games?
He's just got to keep working. I thought his minutes today almost, I mean, he kept us in the game with his scoring, but I thought his defense and his rebounding was better today even. And granted, it was limited minutes, and they were playing small. They were playing very small. They were playing Wiggins and 11 at the 4 a lot. So it was a tough matchup at times. I thought, it's really critical that he just keeps growing and getting better. His rebounding stemmed the tide. His offensive rebounding, I thought, stemmed some momentum in this game.
You guys shot 40% from three. It feels like almost a prerequisite at times that you guys heat up from the outside and then you can build off of there.
Yeah.
And I know it felt like that a little bit today. Do you feel like in some way that you just need to get that going in place?
Usually, I think that is usually a pretty big telltale sign to how we don't always have to make 10 threes, but it's a pretty telltale sign of, I don't know if we can beat people without making a lot of threes. I mean, I would say beat really good people without making a number of threes because, again, that's the strength of several guys on our team. That's what they do. And we don't have, two or three guys that are like Jay Sean Tate, right? So.
Hey, Coach. This
Hey.
is Okan with FX1 Sports. It looks like there were 5 players that were figures today.
Yes.
And then when Kyle went down, it looks like they filled the fire a little bit, where everybody really definitely step up. How can you kind of touch base on that a little bit? How the momentum that changed the entire starting 5? Yeah,
I thought going small actually helped us to some degree at times, but that was a little bit of a momentum stopper, I guess, when he went down. It's a guy who's a terrific player and a guy who's an energy giver to us. He brings great energy, but that's why the value of a guy like Andre Wesson, where you can slide him around and he can also guard different positions, it becomes really valuable to have multiple guys on our team like that. We had Andre Musa, who's out, but having guys like that's really important.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the rebounding. I was asking the players earlier. Looks like inside the paint also create great atmosphere. What can you tell the guys going forward to keep that pace?
Yeah, I thought that might have been the difference, is our ability to get 13 offensive rebounds to their 6. We got some extra possession because they actually shot a better percentage, but offensive rebound was critical.
They got into it in 3 with about 6 minutes left or something. You guys responded. Caleb got it done.
Yes.
Maybe got a steal and got fouled, made a couple free throws. And you just, your ability at that stage, I mean, I felt like it was going your way to close the game out. What was the key in your mind? What did happen?
Well, it's interesting because we haven't been in as many games like that as you think maybe we would be in this league. It seems like it's been 3, 4, 5 possession game, or you know, obviously we've had some 1 or 2 possession games. We have, but maybe not quite as many as we thought here. So that was really important for our group, to be able to play a team of this caliber and go from 14 to, like you said, 3 with however many minutes to go, and just to respond with really good quality possessions.
Is there any, do you have any, you guys made free throws.
Yes.
Key point of closing the game out.
Yes.
As a coach, you just sit there and, gosh, I hope they go in. You have a feel for it.
Yes.
Because it just changes game to game.
You just hope. You just like, yeah, you just kind of hope. You try to get your better free throw shooters there as much as possible when you're closing the game out. That's really your job as a coach. And then it's, you know, be confident up there, trust your stroke, enjoy the moment, don't put too much pressure on yourself. But it's my job, it's our job to try to get the right guys there on the line.
Chris, I know you're down a guard right now, but even before you guys lost DJ, you talked a lot about your sophomore guards having to develop and how important that'd be for you guys this year. Just where do you think both Luther and Dwayne are right now? This seemed like maybe one of the better games you've gotten from them playing all at the same time.
I think they've taken real steps. The next step, the step for them has to be consistency, including on the road. You know, like that is the next step for all of us as a group. But that's really the sign of good players. Can you be consistent home and road? And we're not there yet. We're too inconsistent in our play as a group and some of our young guys.
And I tried to give Luther credit for Cowan not having a made field goal until right before he went out, and he said, no, it wasn't just me, it was me and the help defense that he had. But I'm just curious, when you are preparing for Maryland, maybe this is too simplistic, but is it just like we have to stop Cowan and Sticks and see where it goes from there? Because you guys, even when you played there, you seemed like you did a decent job against both those guys. You just didn't make shots today. You obviously made shots, and you did a good job against both those
Yeah,
guys.
they're more than that. Those two guys are critical. I thought Caleb did a great job on Sticks today. Great job on Jalen Smith, who's a fantastic player. I thought Luther did a really good job on Cowan, but Wiggins is really good. IL is a really good player. Marcel gives them so much with his kind of the way he plays. And then Dante Scott has performed well for him. I mean, there's a reason why they were, top 10 in the country. They've got a variety of guys, but it begins with those two guys.
First game for me this year, so my
Yeah,
questions are
I
going
was
to be
just noticing that. I
more
haven't
ignorant
seen
than
you here
usual. You mentioned that coming out of halftime, you thought how we play in these first couple minutes of the second half is going to tell us something about who we are as a team. This game, beating a top 10 team, what did that tell you coming in, what you thought coming into the game, and then to do this and play like this? Does it tell you something about your team?
I think and I felt good about the look in our older guys' eyes and our captain's eyes when I said that. They were like shaking their head like, absolutely, like this means, like the tone we set right now in these first couple possessions, in these first 3 or 4 minutes, will say a lot about our maturity. We relaxed the least little bit, those guys could go on an 8-0 run. So I thought that was real positive because you could see it in Caleb and Andre and CJ's eyes. Those are 3 of our 4 captains.
And it felt like down the stretch, Maryland's really good, but you guys, you made multiple winning plays, an aggressive drive to the basket,
Yeah.
tipping an offensive rebound to keep it alive. CJ makes a steal underneath. Just what do you think as you're in those moments against a good team, for still a team with a lot of young guys,
Yeah.
you're watching them make winning plays when it matters?
Just really proud of them because we've been in some of those moments. Kentucky was nip and tuck a little bit. Obviously, the game up at Michigan was really tight. But as I said, we haven't been in a ton of them, so when you do see us respond well, it's good. We've not always responded well to those moments. I can think of a couple games here where I didn't feel like we had great possessions defense or offensively late that were frustrating. So hopefully that's a growth for us. And some of that is us maybe figuring out too, where to put our guys in certain situations. But that was good to see.
And last super big picture question from an old guy who's watched a lot of basketball here. There were moments today where, Ohio State's had some really good recent history.
Yeah.
But with the crowd that you mentioned
Yeah.
today, and against a team like this, and you've had good, you beat Michigan State and Purdue your first year and they were top 3 teams. You had the Kentucky win. You guys have good wins. But does that feel like a game today? Is that to you like this is Ohio State basketball? This is what we should be? That yeah, Maryland's really good, but we're really good. We're not an underdog. This isn't an upset. This is us being us in our building with our people. Did this feel like what this program is?
I hope so. I think there's an element of that where you are saying, hey, listen, this is them coming on our home floor on a weekend game in front of a great crowd. We better compete with everything we are. And if not, then that's not who we need to be at all. And this is who we need to be consistently. I think I expected that we would perform well because I think we've got a competitive group, but you also as a coach are I was tied in knots the last day and a half because sometimes it's hard to read your group, to be quite honest with you. That's always been the case. But that, first 5 minutes, I felt like, okay, we're going to compete today. Okay, thank you guys.